Hello, Cosmic Crew. It is March 7th, 2018. And I think it's important that we start talking about these dates and remembering when these videos are being released, because information is changing and huge leaps in consciousness are happening right now. So we all should just start paying attention to the dates. I might need to put my hat on. So that's better. The sun was in my eyes. I want to talk about RH negatives and double simians, because there's a link between these. I know in my bones there's a link with the 22 energies, the 22 galactic energies that make up the new human energy on Earth. The new era of humanity, the next level of human evolution, which is starseeds, which is every human on Earth. There's a joke I like to say, and it's, Houston, we have a problem. We found them, and we're them. Because really, that's what it is. So there's 22 22 galactic nations, 22 different energy frequencies, because we're all energy. And these energy frequencies made up are in your DNA, in our DNA. And from the RH negative side, we embody the pure form of these other dimensions of these beings. And in the negative, it is a being, because Earth was formed for peace and to balance light and dark, and to balance the polarity. Our human vessels and the DNA that was seeded by the Pleiadians, although there really aren't that many Pleiadians here, but we all have Pleiadian DNA. We are seeded with Pleiadian DNA. All of us, every single human on this, whether you want to believe it or not, we are. That's how humans were made. That's why the RH negatives are the oldest bloodlines, because the RH negatives are pre-human bloodlines. Now, we know this, right? But see, just like man, I feel like you can't see my eyes, just like man separated humans by language, and by spreading us out all over the earth, and by making these different races, they did the same thing to the negative bloodlines. Now, we understand that there's reasons that we have these different categories, like an A negative, a B negative, an AB negative, and an O negative. Yes. Those are markers that identify markers. And yes, those markers sometimes have different characteristics because of the lineage that they come from. And yes, they are different races. They do come from different bloodlines. Their DNA each contain very specific signatures that are to them, whether you may see as malevolent or benevolent. However, separating them into O negative is better or O negative is Draco, because again, to be honest, everything that we know, remember, we don't really know, but what I've been seeing is that O negatives are not necessarily the Dracos. Not the Draco reptilians, because the charts I've seen, I haven't seen an O neg yet that has Draco reptilian. But I'm AB negative and I do have it. And I believe that from the research that we've seen and the knowings that I have in my DNA, and being an AB negative that's less than 2% of the population, being one of the oldest, and according to charts, looking at original starseed lineages and the sheer amount of starseed locations that are in my particular chart, in this particular vessel, that this, my soul, has come in with all 6 stellium Libra energy on the star of Algorab. I mean, here we go through the Egyptian times. I don't know how we got off on this, and I was hoping that we didn't have to, because, you know, this is the knowings that I've had over the past few days and weeks and months that I'm finally admitting we can't separate. Understand that if we separate and we judge another bloodline for something that happened in the past, we're acting unconsciously. Because the now is a blank slate. If your will is to not segregate yourself into the army of the O negative to pursue whatever you feel like is opening up inside of you right now, because it all is. It's these past programs that's coming out, especially in us negatives, because the negatives were the original seed. We are part of the planet. RH negatives are original 22 galactic nations that are seeding Earth. And in this process of seeding Earth, we also, in order to ground the energy into the Earth, is where the Double Simians came in. Because the only way to ensure that the keys to Earth, basically, that the secrets and the spiritual teachings, how to connect to the Earth, where humans came from, why we're here, this change in this age right now that we're witnessing, that we're a part of, that we're bringing in a new age, a new era, a new energy, a new human, a new dimension. Because if you go look at the Perakee story, and I hope you all have read it, right? But if you look at the Perakee story, there's the Bow tribe, and this was in Arkansas, which there could be additional tribes. I'm not sure that where Double Simians had, you know, started from. I do not know. However, the largest Atlantis crystals that were saved before the fall are in Arkansas. So it makes a lot of sense that the Toltec people, beings, lived around the Bow tribe, and these beings lived in another part of the woods in the area, had their own little village, and they very rarely came into the village. Typically, the only reason they would come into the village is whenever a baby was born with 2 one line on each hand. I've done a video on this, double simian lines. When a baby was born with double simian, when the baby was 5 years old, then one of these beings would appear, and they were in cloaks. They never saw their faces, and they would give them the baby. And they knew that the people in the bow tie just honestly knew that they were going to be more taken care of by these other beings. And the story goes that at one point in history, right before the bow tribe, I think just very soon after, I don't have the exact years, but very soon afterwards, you know, wiped out by smallpox. Because that was man-made, the smallpox was man-made, you know, same things as the burning of the witches, same things as the Crusades, I mean, same things as Enochian, you know, it's all history repeating itself. But they knew that these things were going to happen, so the only way to keep the secrets and the instruction manual of how to be a human being in this experience, because we are a soul having a human experience, was to implant it in the earth and transmute that knowledge and those energies then through the trees and the Toltec, and that's what they did. There were 22 of them, and at one point they came into the village, and the villagers were scared when they took their robes off. They had really bubbled heads. It looks like their heads were about to explode because of the sheer energy and knowledge that it contained. And they asked, because of course they had to get, there's free will, and they already knew this, so they asked the Bow tribe if they would help them, that they knew that they were all going to die. One was going to die each day, one would die wherever they died to plant a tree. And it took some time for the villagers to come up with if they were going to help, because then after they planted these trees, the villagers were responsible to keep these trees alive. So as they thought this is what happened, and these beings died where they died, they planted a tree. So their DNA was absorbed into the earth. We're all connected to the earth. And these trees grew. They called them I forgot what type of, they were huge red oak trees, I believe. Don't slap me on that if that's not right, but huge, 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 huge trees. And there's an area there, they called them the talking woods. They took care of these trees, and the villagers even felt like they were talking to them, like guiding them. And then after 100 or so years, the trees were wiped out. There was a storm that came, and trees all were devastatingly knocked over, and the villagers were so beside themselves because they thought that they had, you know, somehow cursed humanity, but they didn't even understand what they were doing. And a distinct rainbow popped up of 22 different colors in the sky. And the villagers knew, I mean, it was to where they knew that was them. Each being had a different energy. Well, each of those beings came from a different energy. There were 22 of them. And those colors in the sky, of all these 22 different colors in the prisms in the sky, in the rainbow, were very distinct. And then after this event, the amount of double simians that were born into the tribe magnified drastically. And this is where this story of the double simian is. And there's a whole teaching, and it's all teaching about the energies and how to balance them. So the Double Simian, or like the bridge, you know, they're also balancing these 22 energies, just like the RH negatives are. And the RH negatives, you know, come from more of the starseed energies, from a different blood energy level is the only difference. The only difference is how we contain energy and what frequency we are able to achieve in our vessels. So RH negatives have copper blood. You know, Double Simians could have it if they're RH negative too, right? But the population of them can be or not. If you have both, then you are embodying a specific energy of, I believe, if we look at it from a specific area, more so of these 22, but you're still balancing those energies, and we're all energy. I hope this is making sense. So as these, because there is no time, right? It's quantum. Our job right now is to heal all the timelines and all the old programs, all the separation, all the lack programs, all the suppression programs. We can heal those right now. This is Christ consciousness. This is what it is, a new start, a blank slate. And if you're RH negative, your frequency, because of your copper blood, no matter what you're focusing on and no matter what your belief is, whether or not you believe that the end is coming, or you believe more, your soul is telling you more that we've got a new start and I have a new mission, and what am I supposed to be doing, right? Whether or not you're manifesting that into a large collective, not even knowing this, because RH negatives come from the original seed, which was multidimensional beings. So since there is no time, and since there is no past and there is no future, all those dimensions are happening all at once. So no matter who your mom is and who your dad is, when you look back in genealogy and you look back into, you know, all the flesh suit, you're looking at your flesh, you know, you're looking at the family. Your soul came and incarnated in those different in that timeline for a specific reason. But understand that those they'll all be aligned right now, and we can draw a blank slate and move into the future. But we can't separate. We can't separate and say RH negatives are better than, or I know that people have RH negative blood envy. And to be honest, right, really think about that, because what RH negative means is that there's just more ancient DNA inside, right? It's just older. It goes back further. Now that's on the good and the bad, and through the suppression of humanity and what else happened on this planet, most of it is not on the good side. So for an RE and RH negatives, we in this form, in one reality, we are constantly living out these karmic punishments for stuff that we've done in other dimensions and in the past, because there are fractals, the original fractals. They come from, or one of the original fractals that everything else stems from. That's quantum energy. And the Double Simians also, I'm not sure if they're multidimensional. I don't know that. We could all be. I just know about what I'm talking about with me, an AB negative. These are the things that Jesus was trying to tell. This Yahshua, Yosef, Sananda, Buddha, that energy that's in me, this vessel personally, that comes from Enoch, that comes from the originals of Enki. But see, as we even look back to those stories, and we can't make bad, evil, good, or light of any of it, because there's no sense in it. We're repeating the same program. This is an experience, and we have gone through a huge evolution, a huge upgrade in consciousness and understanding that, you know, the darkest of the dark can still have good in them, and the lightest of the light can still be bad and do bad things. You know, that's everyone's freaking out. You know, the collective is freaking out right now because they're finding out all these sexual things that happened. Well, it's been happening forever. This is what's been going on. But see, the energy frequency that I bring forth in this vessel, that my soul, my soul, that is you, but the one in me just has a little bit of extra Mother Universe energy. And it's that everything existed up until this now is done. If you ask for it to, it's over. If you ask for it to, it's paid for. If you ask for the lineage, go down the line back to the original seed for all those sins, karmas, contracts, everything to be cleansed, then as an RH negative, don't you understand that you're cleansing it all the way back to the original seed, which is then in essence, in this reality, getting rid of all the problems that we have with the polarity of light and dark, and with the need to control. Because now we've taken out the whole need to control, because there wasn't an argument to begin with. We're just all getting along. Because we've lived out those timelines, and we're masters now. And we know we've lived them out and lived them out and lived them. We're still living them out in other dimensions. We're still fighting the wars. We're still galactically in the air. All this is still happening on some level. It's gotten a lot better because we've been cleaning it. This is how these shifts are happening. And it's naturally doing it because of the frequency on the planet. And we're being ignited. We're being activated. Your body's going to go through some changes. Watch my other videos. Because this is all what this is about. We're all awakening, to remember who we are. And a lot of us RH negatives, we were royalty. And we got the karmic debt that came with that. And so it takes a warrior soul, but you have it. You were born with it. So activate your DNA, and whatever experience that we're dealing with, let's continue to create a galactic perspective. We want to call it a cosmic perspective, but it's a galactic perspective on why it's there. The situation is there because it might be a karmic contract that you signed up for and have to complete. Or that's only if you've already asked for all your karmic ties to be forgiven, because when you reach a point, that's available. It's available to everybody right now. Once you do it, you might have a couple of things that pop up that you have to clear, but it can be done now. Everybody. I'm saying it's not just going to happen. What happens is you ask for all these things to be forgiven, And then there's actually things that will pop up into your reality, and not like you're all of a sudden in a war or anything. I mean, maybe in your dreams and dreamscape, but because that's just dimensional travel too. But yeah, you might have like just some little reminders that pop up into your reality, you know, where you have to make that decision. We've talked about these just to make sure that you understand, you know, and you're aware that you learned that lesson. Every single one of us matters. Every single one of us is a part of Source. We are. God is within us. Everything is love and truth. And the truth is, this is why Indians were murdered. This is why humanity has had such a horror. This is why the fighting is going on in Iraq right now. This is why they called it ISIS. They called them ISIS so that everyone would assume that name was murder, and that name is actually a multidimensional me. And others that carry the energy of the divine feminine at this level on the RH negative side. And then we go to Lilith. We look at Lilith. So many of the RH negative women are being called to Lilith. When I first woke up, I knew my name was Lilith. And I went and looked that shit up, and it scared the hell out of me, because it was in the very beginning. And so all I knew was light and dark, because it was in the beginning. And I didn't, of course, we all awaken, and it's a process to understand what we're awakened to. You know, we walk around saying we're awake, but we really don't even still know. I still don't know, really, right? Step by step. Every one of them seems so mind-blowing that it feels like it's the end, and then there's always more. And for anyone who follows on my Facebook page, I found a ladybug in my sink, and there's another one right, please don't fall off, right there. Truth. We're talking truth here. Consciousness. I knew I was Lilith. We're being drawn to Lilith. The reason that man did not want us to know Lilith existed, because Lilith was Adam and equal to Adam. She was made from the earth, you know, more of the RH negative bloodline. So quite literally, the negative bloodline and the royalty, if you want to call it that, from a man linear perspective, the royal bloodlines and the starseed DNA is passed down through the mother. Hence why when you get married, you get your names changed, right? Women's names change, because when you go back and really start looking through man's history and trying to find out your lineage, you soon figure out, especially when you get back to, you know, Adam and Enoch. But in any situation, the woman's name is hit, you know, it's hard to find the women's names, because they've been changed and they've been altered. And or, you know, you find more of the multidimensional when you get back to Adam and Enoch, which is where I started putting this together, because there's, you know, the sister of, and then you have mother. One, every baby is like a one-off. It's one-off, and the mothers are hard to track, but there's one-off children in many of those bloodlines too. Now I'm getting off where I shouldn't be going yet, because I don't know all about it. I'm just telling you what I've been putting together, searching. We've made this shift, and then changes are going to start happening on the earth, and it's so important for those of us who are ready and up for the challenge to be ready. And it's a spiritual battle, and the great news is it's already been won. It's just how hard do we want to make it on ourselves? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure every single one of us have had quite enough of misery, pain, lack, judgment, and fear. If you're RH negative and you've double sin, whoever, no matter what, but when you RH negatives, understand that you affect so much more than yourself just by what you think. Just by what you think. So the more of us that understand that, the easier we can slide into the age of Aquarius. I know you see these changes happening right now with the government. You see them happening with the finances, financial, there's a change coming. Because we're having to take back control because of this spiritual information that I'm talking about right here. Because this spiritual information is what has been being used against us all these hundreds of thousands of years. When we signed up to come here, when we signed up to come here to Earth, we all knew what we were doing. We knew that we would forget. We knew that our memories were going to be wiped, and that we were coming to have an experience in a body. And our souls had different things to accomplish and different things to master. But we all came here with the intent of right now, at this time, in evolution, 2018, I'm calling it 2CC. Christ consciousness, not Cosmic Christie, because please. When I say CC, I'm meaning Christ consciousness. It also happens to be Cosmic Christie. The ... is a universal symbol as far as I'm concerned. That means etc. What's next? We're all doing this together. We are the batteries. The Double Simians are the connectors to the bodies. So if we can just understand that not to pay attention to the news, not to be induced into fear, not to react, not stay grounded, realize that this is your perception, that whatever is popping up in reality is something you're putting there. So consciously identify what the lesson is and deal with it and move on. And I'm not even sitting here trying to tell you that it ain't it's easy, because it's hard. And I cry because my heart wants to stay attached to something that I know it serves no purpose. It's going to keep repeating itself. It's already showed me that. But I still have an attachment to it. Even selling my stuff right now has been difficult because you hold an attachment to these things. But this is what we're learning not to do, because this is what's weighted us down. And we don't have to live like this. Such a beautiful time to be alive. And we're connecting so many dots, and I just want to thank you all. And I know this video might be all over the place. I gotta listen to it because I don't even know what all we talked about. But please know, we've already won the battle. And we're all one. And that when you ask for guidance, you get it. So be specific. Be grateful for everything you have. Try to remember to bless everything you eat. Your frequency is changing. Your energy is changing. Your bodies are changing. And if you're having a really hard time, it's because you're not accepting the change and you're trying to stay comfortable, you know, chilling with the wife, you know, and or not, or an addiction. I had to get over an addiction too. That's a whole nother story that has to do with, you know, my soul's journey, even in this lifetime. But I've cleansed a lot of that, and I understand why it was there. And so now I no longer hold judgment on it or remorse or any of it. I keep getting called to talk about this, evidently, because I never show up here to say this again. If you are an RH negative, yes, you have extra gifts, and yes, you have extra insight. You can achieve it a lot easier, let's just say it that. It can be achieved by every single human, but an RH negative can achieve it a little bit faster. And sometimes, but it's just a different mastery. Anyone can get there, but the RH negative comes here with it. The Double Simian comes here with it. So if you're not understanding, you know, the gravity and the importance of that, you know, but make your decision either way. But you can't stay on the fence anymore. And it's beautiful over here. And we're together and we're here to help. We're going to get through it together. Don't be scared. I started over. It's been a long process. I've let go of a house. I'm selling everything I own. I haven't had a job in a while. God provides. God provides. He provides. And you get these wonderful signs and numbers and people popping up in your life to always give you exactly what you need at the right time. And that's just right now. That's just helping us get through this. But a lot of us have missions that are going to require for us to make money. Because the more money we have, the more we can help others. But money is just energy. I'm going to do another video soon talking about an offering I'm going to start doing to exchange some energy. Because it's important to exchange that energy. So I don't know how long this is because I had to start and stop. So that's all. That's all, folks. Houston, we have a problem. We found them, and we're them. Oh. Can I get a hoot hoot? Love you all of the all, for we are not small. Mwah. I hope y'all enjoyed the sunshine and a little bit of the consciousness chat. Talk to you soon.